Kitchen confessions. Have you ever been at a party, lost in the noise, when one quiet room changes everything? That's what happened the night Bayo and Kemi slipped into the kitchen, and a single kiss turned a simple house party into a secret that could destroy more than just trust. Stay with me, because this story has everything: desire, betrayal, laughter, and scandal. And before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment if you've ever kept a secret you couldn't confess, and like this video so we know you want more stories just like this. It was one of those London nights that felt too alive to end early. The living room was already full, speakers blasting Afrobeats, drinks sloshing, bodies pressed together like a train at rush hour. People shouted over the music, laughed too loud, posted stories on Instagram with filters that couldn't hide the sweat on their foreheads. Bayo was there because he always was. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a smile that could outshine bad lighting. He was the kind of guy people gravitated towards. His girlfriend, Funke, was out on the dance floor, swaying with her girls, her braids catching the light every time she turned. He loved her, or at least that's what he told himself. But tonight, he wasn't watching her. His eyes kept drifting to the kitchen door, because Kemi was inside. Kemi, the one who never tried too hard. Petite, quick-witted, the kind of woman who made people feel like they'd known her for years after just one conversation. She had a boyfriend too, Tunde, loyal and sweet, currently somewhere near the speakers, nursing a red cup and nodding offbeat. But Kemi wasn't thinking about him just then. She had ducked into the kitchen to escape the heat of the crowd, hoping for air. What she found instead was Bayo, leaning against the counter, pretending to open another bottle but really just hiding too. When their eyes met, it felt like a confession neither of them had spoken yet. "You hiding too?" she asked, her voice carrying that half laugh that made Bayo's chest tighten. He shrugged. "Someone's got to guard the fridge." Kemi laughed properly this time, covering her mouth, and the sound of it sliced through the bass, vibrating the walls. For a second, the party outside didn't exist. It was just two people, shoulder to shoulder, in a kitchen that smelled faintly of jollof rice and spilled vodka. They started talking, first about the heat, then about mutual friends, then about nothing that mattered. Each sentence layered on top of the last, building a rhythm more addictive than the music outside. She leaned against the counter beside him, close enough that he could smell the faint sweetness of her perfume. He watched the way her lips curved when she teased him, and he told himself it was just harmless, just conversation, just a break from the noise. But his body wasn't listening to his mind. The music outside shifted into a love song, bass heavy and slow. Someone screamed, "That's my jam," and the party roared again. But in the kitchen, the sound dimmed, muffled by walls and distance. It left them in their own silence, filled only by the hum of the fridge and the thump of Bayo's pulse. He noticed the way her drink had left a ring on the counter. She noticed the way his hand tapped against his thigh, restless. They both noticed the space between them and how easy it would be to close it. Then it happened. A joke, something about Funke's dancing, spilled from his lips, and Kemi laughed so hard she leaned forward, her head nearly bumping his chest. His hand moved without thought, steadying her shoulder. She looked up, still laughing, and suddenly the sound stopped. Her breath caught. His hand didn't move, and in that suspended second, the kitchen became a world, and the world outside ceased to exist. He kissed her first. Quick, soft, the kind of kiss that could be excused as an accident. But it didn't stop there, because she kissed him back, deeper this time, her hand clutching the counter as if she needed something solid to hold her upright. The taste of rum and coke lingered between them, sweet and sharp. And when they pulled apart, their eyes locked in the kind of panic that comes not from fear, but from recognition. They had crossed a line. Kemi whispered, "We shouldn't." Bayo answered, "I know," but he kissed her again anyway. Outside, Funke's laughter rang above the music. Tunde's voice joined the crowd. Both of their partners were less than 10 steps away, dancing, trusting, living without suspicion. And still, in that hidden kitchen, the air grew heavy with what they weren't supposed to feel. They pulled back eventually, gasping, not from the kiss but from the realization of what it meant. They didn't speak. Words would have made it too real. Instead, Bayo reached for a bottle, poured her another drink, and handed it over like an apology he couldn't say. She took it, their fingers brushing, and for a moment they just stared at each other, as if waiting for the other to declare it was all a mistake. Neither did. "Do you love her?" Kemi asked, suddenly, voice low. Bayo hesitated, his jaw tightening. "Yes," he said, too quickly. Then softer, "I think so. And She stopped. She couldn't bring herself to say Tone's name in that moment. She just shook her head. "We're bad people." "No," Bayo said, though his voice shook. "Just people who made a bad choice." But choices don't stay in kitchens. They leak out like spilled drinks spreading across a counter. Later that night, Funke came looking for him. She opened the door and saw them. Just a little too close, just a little too quiet. She didn't say anything then, but her eyes lingered, and Tunde, half drunk, stumbled in soon after, laughing, oblivious. Kemi plastered on a smile, forced her voice light, and the moment passed, or at least it pretended to. The next days were heavier, messages unsent, long silences in group chats, glances across lecture halls that felt like confessions. Funke asked him once, "Are you okay? You seem different." He kissed her forehead and lied, "I'm fine." Tunde told Kemi she'd been distant. She hugged him tighter, hoping to erase her guilt with the warmth of her arms. But guilt doesn't leave, it lingers. And every time Bayo and Kemi cross paths, at the library, at church, in the same Uber pool, the air reminded them of what they'd done. One night, Bayo sat alone in his room, the glow of his phone lighting his face. His thumb hovered over her name. He wanted to call, to confess, to say it meant more than a moment in the kitchen. But he didn't. Instead, he whispered into the dark. Why her? Because that was the truth. He didn't know why the world shifted when she laughed. He only knew that it had. Kemi, meanwhile, prayed. Not the easy prayers of routine, but the desperate kind that spill like tears. She asked for forgiveness. She asked for clarity. And still, when she closed her eyes, she felt his lips. It terrified her, and it thrilled her. Their secret became its own kind of relationship, built not on dates or texts, but on silence, and memory. And yet, silence cracks. It cracked the night. Someone posted a blurry TikTok from the party. A short clip, just a flash of two shadows in the kitchen, close, too close. It wasn't clear enough to prove anything, but it was enough to spark whispers. Did you see that? Looked like Bayo. Wasn't that Kemi's dress? Whispers spread like wildfire in London student circles. Funke heard, Tunde heard, and suddenly, the kitchen wasn't just a secret. It was a scandal. Funke confronted him first. "Tell me it's not true." Her voice trembled with anger she was trying to cage. He tried to deny, to spin, to plead, but her eyes knew better. She walked away before he could finish. Tunde confronted Kemi next. He wasn't angry, not at first. He was hurt. His voice cracked like a broken note. Why him? Why not just tell me? And that broke her more than any shouting could have. The fallout was brutal. Group chats split. Friendships cracked. Trust vanished. Bale's name became a cautionary tale. Kemi's laughter no longer filled rooms. It trailed behind her like a shadow. They both carried the weight of one night that could not be undone. And yet, the memory lingered, stubborn and alive, because the kiss hadn't just been betrayal. It had been truth. A truth that neither of them could erase, no matter how much they tried. So here's the question. Was it love or just a moment? Was it weakness or was it the start of something that might one day find daylight? That's the thing about secrets. They don't end in kitchens. They follow you into every room you enter after. Would you forgive Bayo? Would you forgive Kemi? Or do you think some secrets are too heavy to carry? Tell me in the comments. And if this story caught your breath, don't forget to subscribe and like, because there are more London stories coming. Stories of desire, betrayal, and the dangerous beauty